podcast, we have Aimee Wythes, who is an entrepreneur from Newcastle, Australia, and is the creator of the Belle Journee Planner, which she created out of her personal struggle with anxiety. She realized that bringing consciousness to the way we do everything in life is key to thriving. Aimee, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Now, I have been using the Belle Journee journal for the past 2 months. I say journal, I mean daily planner, and it has been a game changer for me and my productivity. I have never drunk so much water in my life, and Aimee has been so generous, and she is giving the listeners a chance to win one of her amazing daily planners. And if you would like to win the planner, all you need to do is go to Apple Podcasts, subscribe to the podcast, and leave a review about this episode, and Aimee and I will pick the best one to get the journal.
Yay!
I'd love you to start by telling us a bit about your journey and, how you led up to creating your business.
Yeah, so in my mid-20s, I was busy hustling and trying to tick all the boxes I thought I had to in order to succeed in life. I was working a day job, a night job. I was studying full-time and also trying to juggle an internship too. I was super overcommitted, really exhausted, and I felt like I was doing a bad job of everything. I felt really trapped by the life I'd created, and I felt really guilty I didn't have time for the more important things. I was just living my life on autopilot. I would wake, work, eat, sleep, sometimes repeat. And after a while, living this way, it really took its toll on me, and I ended up with really bad anxiety. And what I realized was that my anxiety was really a reflection of conforming to social norms without questioning and having a lack of self-awareness around the state of my mental health. Um, my goals in life were all really extrinsically motivated and dictated by social expectations. And we all know what these are. It's the stable job, it's get married by 30 years old, have 2.5 kids,
Yep.
and a house with a picket fence, and be pretty, be skinny, be smart, be hardworking. And I was trying to live up to all these impossible standards and having no real knowledge of introspection and how to practice real self-care. And that's how I ended up with my rock bottom moment, having panic attacks regularly.
And it is, I think so many people are going to relate to that, because it is these social pressures and expectations that add so much stress. Like, you have to be married by 30, you have to have the 2.5 kids, you have to have the baby carrier car and get everybody in, you have to have the great job. And I think it's so external that we don't get time to reflect on ourselves. And I've suffered panic attacks as well, and they are just awful. That must have been really tricky for you to navigate.
Yeah, it is. And I think because I was so busy getting carried away with all these things that I thought I should be doing, I didn't have any time to stop and question why I was doing it or how it was making me feel. And that was really my problem. And that's how I kind of started the business, because I needed a solution and I found it, and I thought that I should share it.
And this actually leads perfectly to my next question for you, which was, how did you come up with the Belle Journee Daily Planner, and where did the idea come from? Because like I said, I'm obsessed with the Daily Planner. It's been a game changer.
So there was really two things that prompted me to start my business. When I was at uni studying psychology, I really fell in love with positive psychology, and that's where I learned the tools that I needed to overcome my anxiety and really unpack what had caused it. And in this process, I realized I had a really valuable set of tools and knowledge that I could package up in an actionable way that would keep me on track and thriving, not just getting by, like really being able to accomplish my goals on top of taking good care of myself. And I knew that so many other people would be able to relate to my story, which is why it motivated me to create the planner. And then the other reason is because even though I'd always felt really inspired using other planners, I realized the layout for them was flawed. I would fill up my days using the half-hourly time slots in an effort to feel organized and in control, but it was having the opposite effect. I would look at my week ahead already full of work hours and to-dos, and I would feel overwhelmed and stressed that there was no white space for the good stuff. Um, it was then that I realized the way I was visually perceiving my time was stressing me out and making me feel time poor. And this is when I set out to create a totally new layout that solved all these issues and really allowed me to consciously create the type of day that I wanted to have.
Mm. And I literally, when you talk about being time poor, it's just so relatable because it is, we suddenly feel like we have no time. And I agree, the planners that I previously had, it's the to dos and it's like fill everything up and you're so, so busy. And you look and you go,
Mm,
I have no time for me. I have no time at
yeah,
all. And I know that my teaching planner, so as a teacher, we legally kind of have to keep a planner to document the lessons we're doing and things. And I remember looking
yeah,
at the ones I'd have, and it would be also with the kids. I love the kids, love them with all my heart, but there was absolutely nothing personal in there for me. And
yeah,
so important having that space and, you know, knowing that you have time for yourself
yeah.
because we never have
And
time for ourselves, I don't think.
yeah, and we feel guilty making time for ourselves because we're like, oh, I could sit here for an hour and journal or meditate, but oh God, I really should be doing the washing or the cooking or studying or, you know, ticking off the to-do list. But yeah, we really need to make that time for ourselves every day.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's the guilt
Yeah,
that just
it's
constantly.
guilt. It's guilt because we're taught that we should be hustling, and it is just not the truth.
It's not
So I
productive.
feel guilty. Yeah, it's not productive.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it
Exactly.
is. It's that like the teaching, isn't it? We're taught to hustle and to do it, and if you're not, you're being lazy and you're not doing enough.
Exactly. And that's kind of something we all really need to learn is to unlearn the things that aren't good for us that we all just blindly do.
100%. And talking about that kind of like unlearning things and creating the new habits, I would really like to know, why did you pick the different elements in your daily planner? So I know there's things like daily intentions, the morning ritual, the move, the mind, the nourish. I would love if you could tell us about each section.
Yeah. So the morning ritual is the first thing you see on your page each day. And I put that there because I think it's really important for everyone to start their day feeling energized and in a clear space and a healthy mindset. And this section is really so that you can build healthy habits and play with, what ones that you like. Um, and then the second section underneath that is setting a daily intentional goal. So I really believe that the energy put out into the world is what is reflected back. So this is somewhere that you can choose what you want to bring to your day. Do you want to practice being more kind, more patient, more present in the conversations that you have? Um, and then it moves on to the schedule, and that is only for things that need a specific time, such as work and appointments. Because what I was doing with a traditional planner was scheduling everything. And that's how I ended up feeling time poor because every half hour was filled up with something. So that's why I've laid it out like that. And then onto the priority section. And this is about prioritizing your tasks across the week rather than writing yourself a big to do list for one day. And you'll get to the end of the day and feel guilty that you haven't ticked them all off. This way, you can just prioritize one or two things for each day. And that eliminates the feeling of being guilty you haven't accomplished them. And also just narrows it down to one or two things. It's easy. Um, and then the bottom half of the page is dedicated to the daily trackers. And these are there for you to take action on the things that are the most important things for your health and also the most simple. So the first thing is for your mind. Um, the mind section is there so you can be mindful to strengthen our mental health, just like we do with our physical health. Because often it just gets overlooked. We don't even think about taking care of our mind. Second thing is move. So this is where you can record what you do for your physical health every day. Research suggests that a 30-minute run gives us the same serotonin boost as we can expect from a low dose SSRI, which is used to treat depression.
And this you've
So
told
that's
me this
pretty
before,
amazing.
and that threw me when you told me that statistic that just half an hour of exercise could do that. I was blown away that it was the same
Yeah,
as a low level antidepressant. It was amazing.
me too. It's amazing. So good. And not only that, but the immediate effects that you get from exercise is better mood, better focus, better concentration, better reaction time, better short term memory. And these are all documented in research. It can protect your brain from um, diseases later in life, such as Alzheimer's.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Exercise
And
is
then
magic medicine.
it is, it really is. And then we have a section for you to record your food. Um, and that's so you can consciously make the decision to nourish your body um, every day. And what we choose to eat really directly affects our mood and energy. 95% of the serotonin neurotransmitters are found in the gut, and their functioning is highly influenced by the billions of good gut bacteria that make up your intestinal microbiome.
And they
So
talk about
that's
this, don't they? About the gut being the second brain.
yes, yeah,
That's
that's
crazy.
why. Yeah.
I'm
So you can
literally like,
use
oh my God.
yeah, it's crazy, and we didn't really know that until pretty recently.
Wow. And that would make sense because a lot of people do talk about the fact that if you've got bad gut health and you haven't been nourishing yourself properly, that can
Mm,
actually impact your mental health significantly. And it can cause things like depression and anxiety because of the, obviously now I know it's the neurons, but that relationship between the brain and the gut.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So you've got to really take care of what you put into your body.
Take your probiotics, kids.
Yes, exactly. And then at the end of the daily trackers is time where you can record your sleep. And we all know that sleep is super important, but none of us really take notice of what time of day we feel better sleeping and waking. And we can use this section to be mindful of winding down at the end of the night, because we're always going to bed with our phones or watching the television. And this is a really bad habit that we all need to kick. The blue light that it's emitted from our screens can delay the release of sleep inducing melatonin and reset your body's circadian rhythm. So it's really important to get rid of the blue light at least an hour, if not two, before you go to bed, because it will keep you awake. Your
You're like,
body's not settling into sleep mode properly.
guys, put the phones away, you need to sleep. And it's so true. Like I've got glasses, like blue blocker glasses that I
Oh,
wear.
you do?
I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with them. Like they are just a game changer, but I have to do the same. Like I have to move my phone away at night time because otherwise I am a little bit wired.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
We're all
You don't want to
guilty.
lay in bed and go down that Instagram rabbit hole, because you'll be there for hours.
Get out of there, Alice.
And then, so the last section you have for the day in there is your daily highlight. And that's there so that you can end your day in a positive frame of mind. And you can also create memories that you can look back on and smile.
And I personally love the like the highlight of the day. That is one of my favorite pieces to do because it just, I find that it really helps with, I know it's like the buzz topic of sleep hygiene and making sure that you
Yeah.
put the phone down and you get into bed at a good time. But I actually find that mentally it does set me up for a much nicer sleep because I'm looking at the good things in the day. Like I'm not just going like, well, that was a mess of a day. Like there's always something good in the day. And I feel that it just sets you into a really kind of peaceful state to go into sleep. And the other bit that I feel in the planner is just incredible is the morning ritual. It is the mental health breakfast.
Yeah. Totally.
It just sets you up like just having a couple of things that you do. It doesn't have to be like a major thing, but I honestly feel that that is just a game changer for your mental health because you already wake up, you have that bit of routine, it's just for you, you're going into yourself, and then you also start the day and end the day in this really beautiful way. So I love those parts of the planners.
Oh, thank you. I
Well
love them
done.
too.
And then with all the different elements to the planner and things, what benefits do these elements have when you're planning your daily life and to support your mental health?
So it's really about having an easy and enjoyable way to ensure you're taking good care of yourself and taking that action daily, which will then enable you to be highly functioning and successful. And I mean success in your definition of success for yourself.
100%. And I feel like the thing that you've just said as well is it's the daily action. Because I
Mm,
feel like sometimes there is so much we can do in a day, like you talked about that endless to-do list. And sometimes the best benefits we can have are just adding in those simple things of self-care, like drinking enough water or making sure we've nourished ourselves or getting to sleep at a usual time, that actually they're going to have the biggest benefits to our mental health. And like you said, your personal
yeah,
success.
yeah.
Because is there something that you have or you do in the planner for you that works really well? Like, is there a section or an element that you're like, that is a non negotiable? That's what I have to do. And it sets me in a really good space.
Um, yeah, like I found that meditation has really helped me a lot. Um, in so many ways. So that's something that is non-negotiable for me, but I do fill out the whole planner every day because it's not like a chore. It's kind of it's there sounds like there's a lot in there, but it's actually really simple and easy to accomplish all these things in one day. We just feel like we don't have time for them because that's was our perception of time, and now we're changing our perception of time with the layout of this planner.
100%. And I feel like it also stops the overwhelm. Like, and like you said, it seems
Mm.
like there's a lot to do, but I vouch for this as well. I do it every day. And actually, it stops overwhelm and anxiety because there's
Yeah.
so much more space for me. It's like a personal daily planner that fits all my mental health needs.
Yeah. Yes.
Amazing. And talking about that kind of non-negotiable self-care and the meditation that you do, why do you think that self-care and, mindful productivity is so important for us to learn?
I think that the way we're living our lives at the moment can be really bad for our mental health. And I think we know that this is true because mental health issues are really on the rise. We're busier than ever and we're more distracted than we've ever been, which has resulted in us becoming really disconnected with ourselves. Um, and with social media, I see that so many of us look to outside influences to find a model of what we should be and what we should achieve rather than finding those answers through introspection. Um, and it's this mindless autopilot way of living that I really want to disrupt with my work.
Mm. And it's like we talked about earlier, it's that kind of almost like brainlessness, autopilot going through life, and you never stop to actually check in with it. And I agree, social media is kind of like, I know that people say it, but it's a double-edged sword. Like, you love
Yeah.
knowing what everyone's up to, and then the other part of you is like, you don't need to see how cute your baby looks or the fact that you just got this amazing job.
I know, because then you have the whole comparison thing. Oh, I don't have that job yet, or I don't have a house yet, and
I'm still
it
not
just makes you feel
Beyonce.
bad. It's all good.
100%. And so I've got a couple of last questions for you. The
Mm.
one question I have is, what advice would you give your 15-year-old self if you could go back and meet her?
I would say to not let other people's opinions dictate your destiny. And let me give you an example so I can illustrate what I mean. Um, Say you're at school and you're a really amazing artist and you're so passionate about it, creating art, you do it all the time outside of school, and it's like time stands still when you're doing it. And you're probably in year 12 and you have an art teacher that you say to her, "Oh, I'm going to be an artist. This is what I love to do. It's what I want to do for a job." And your art teacher says, "Oh, you are so good at art, but what if you choose a career but if you choose it as a career path, it's going to be hard and you probably won't make much money." And then you go home and you're all worried about, your decision, and you tell your parents and they say, "Oh, well, she's probably right. Maybe you should go to uni and get a job that's more stable." So you take their advice, you go to uni, and you choose something that you think is sensible, like being an accountant.
We have nothing against accountants, by the way. We love them.
No, no, just completely different to what you really wanted to do. So you get the job, you get the good stable income, and life is pretty good. And then after a while, the excitement kind of wears off, and you start to question, oh, I don't really feel very fulfilled. And you kind of dread getting up in the morning, going to work. And it begins to crush your soul. You and you fill that void with things that temporarily make you feel good, like junk food or partying or drugs or friends that seem like they're fun, but they're actually quite toxic. And all of a sudden it's years later and you don't know what to do. And I think this happens to so many of us. So I want people to really question, um, when someone has an opinion on what you should be doing with your life, question why they might have that opinion. Because that is a reflection of their own experience and it's not really the truth for you. So, my advice would be to stay true to who you are and you always know what's right for you. So, follow that and don't let anyone deter you from that path.
Mm. I love that so much. And it's almost so sad, but it is so true. Like, we are raised to kind of follow the norm and for people to have a say in our lives and to tell us what they think is best. And, you know, I think every woman listening to this has been there at some point where someone's gone, don't do this or don't do that, or you should stay with him. He's a nice guy, or, you know, you should stay in this
Mm,
job. It's a decent pay. And you go, but it's not right. Like, it's not
yeah,
right. There's something more for me out there. There's something else. And I think it's that self trust and that
yeah,
self worth to go, yeah, I'm actually going to say no to this to say yes to what I'm truly passionate about. And you almost say, I appreciate what you've said. I understand what you're saying. I know you're looking out for me. That's your thing. I really want to do this. I'm really passionate about it. And I think, like you said, just backing yourself all the way, like, know
yeah.
that you can do this.
Yeah, and it's hard when you're young because you do look up to people that are older than you or that you respect for that advice. But yeah, sometimes you need to just say that's their experience of mm, what they've experienced in their life that's reflecting their opinion that they're giving me, and maybe that is not true for me.
100%. And I need to question that.
Yeah.
100%. Such good advice. Such good advice. And my last question for you is, what topic do you think needs to be taught in school which isn't mindful productivity?
I would really like to see schools teaching our kids how to take care of their mental health just like they do with physical health. Because we all have PE class, we all know what the food pyramid is, but there's no mention of mental health at all. I think some schools are now implementing like mindfulness and things like that, which is like so good. But I think if we're going to give um, an hour to PE twice a week. I can't remember how it's structured, but it's quite a lot of time. We should be giving the same amount to teaching kids about their mental health. I read recently that more than half of mental health issues emerge by the age of 14. And that just really made me sad because they're so young. And
And
it
it
really,
is
yeah, and it really highlights the fact that this is the most important thing that we can be teaching our kids. And I
true.
think if we can educate them from a young age, it'll be more instinctual for them to be mindful of how they're feeling and how to deal with their emotions. And I really don't think the statistics would be what they currently are if we did that.
100%. I think, you know, I just love what you said. It's such an important topic. If we could spend this much time teaching the kids to run around a field and, you know, to work on their physical health, and, you know, we're not saying that's not important, but absolutely they need to have the same time on their mental health. And,
Yeah.
you know, that statistic is shocking. And I remember being in the
Mm.
UK and I had to go to a mental health course as part of some training, and they said that, you know, children as young as kindergarten and reception children were developing mental health issues like anxiety, and they hadn't really even got to school
Oh,
yet.
I know, and you just wonder how on earth that can happen so young, but it does.
So yeah, I completely agree with you. Bring mental health education to schools.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well, it has been so lovely to chat to you. Before you go, where can people find you on social media or anywhere if they want to get your planner or they want to find out more about you? Where can we find you, Aimee?
I'm mostly on Instagram, so that is Belle Journee by Aimee Wythes on Instagram, and then my website is bellejourneeplanners.com.
Amazing. And again, to remind you, Aimee is giving away one of her beautiful daily planners. So if you would like to win one of those, all you need to do is go over to Apple Podcasts, subscribe to this podcast, and Aimee and I will pick the best review. Aimee, it's been such a pleasure having you on and talking all about this. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.